window because last time I forgot to close the window, and then it was playing. So we're live.
Hello world.
Yep. So welcome to another episode of enLIGHTen Up. I'm Deb, and Deb's not here at the moment. She is with our friend and YSC community member who has just recently experienced the loss of her beautiful father, and so that's where Deb is at the moment. And so we're all those of us that knew him are experiencing that, and still we wanted to do an episode of enLIGHTen Up for you today. I'm joined with the lovely Diana, who better to talk with about the topic that's in my experience today is on our inner children, the inner child. And I had some ruminations on that I shared this morning through a Facebook Live. And so I thought we would just have a chat and explore that a little bit more. The thing that is kind of current for me is the balance between honoring our inner child and honoring our adult, right? And what it looks like when it's out of balance, and what it looks like when it is healthy and balanced. So you tell me, Dana, what's it like for you when it's out of balance? What do you notice
when I mean, the balance can go out either way for me. I can be too much in the adult or too much in the child. I'm just trying to think. It's a general discomfort. It's a general like bodily discomfort. But for me, it tends to lead to like reckless behavior and like just really like, yeah, I'm going to go 5Ks over the speed limit because I can. Like I get very petulant, and it's like if I'm not fulfilling the inner child, then the inner child is going to make herself known, and the inner child isn't listening for the balance. So she tends to make some pretty stupid decisions. She's the one that cut her hair at like 11 o'clock at night after a glass of wine 6 months ago. Because why not? She's not an amazing decision maker, but equally, if I suppress too much of the adult, which is less common because society is expecting the adult in this form, but it does happen. I can't embrace my inner child permanently, kind of thing. It's like it forces me back the other way as well. It tends to stop coming up with fun imaginative games. And then I'm like, oh, no fun times.
Yeah, well, so I like how you shared what are the signs that you notice, because for me, what I notice when I am too busy adulting, doing all the things, and I don't have enough space for playtime or like reading and like just drawing and crowd. Like my inner child loves to play and create and draw and write, and just not obviously feel this pressure of needing to produce anything, right? Yeah. It's playtime. And when there isn't enough of that, because I've been so focused and structured and in the adult, it's almost like I feel a kind of signal that goes off inside me that's like, hang on a minute, and it shows up in the form of whether I'm craving sweets or cuddles, or just a sense of something's out of balance in the system. And the opposite way for me is if I'm too much playtime, then the adult gets really like stern and disciplined around like you need to be doing this right now. It's like the voice, the stern tone comes out. That's like, and so that's there as well, right? So, yeah. So the out of balance can happen either way. Either way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about play, because this topic's interesting to me. It came up recently in discussion with someone when they were like, I don't have an inner child. Like, I know people talk about the inner child and like, I'm sure they're, but like, I don't. And this is one of the most playful people I have ever met. Like, they're the person that'll like tackle you while you're cooking just to like, because it'll be funny kind of thing. And I think that's like, some people might not know it by their inner adult and their inner child, but it's that sense of play. And we need play. For me, I define play as anything I'm doing that has no purpose and brings enjoyment. And, you know, I live in a world where it's very easy to accidentally corrupt my playtime into purposeful time.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm not attentive enough to that, that's when my inner child doesn't get to play as much. And that's when things get weird. I have a very overactive inner child, so I love hanging with this person. They will also be like, yes, we're now velociraptors in the living room. And that's really important, but it is really, really important that you remember it's not necessarily what you're doing. Like, some people might draw, some people might go for a walk, whatever it is, as long as it's enjoyable and without purpose, that gives satisfaction to that part.
Yeah, like climbing trees or playing in the grass, or whether it's basketball. It's a really important thing. I'm really grateful that you mentioned it's not the what, it's the how. It's the experience that we're having when it's purposelessness. Like, recreation is about purposelessness. For me in particular, because so much of my work involves expanding cognition. So it's looking for, there's a degree of focusedness that needs to be there when I'm holding space for people, when I'm writing with the intention of integrating different perspectives. And it's very different than writing in my journal that's like, I feel sad right now, or just honoring it's a very different, like, the purposelessness of expression and recreation in that way. That's there for us as children.
Well, for me, it was always art, right? And like, I've talked to you about this before. I was an artistic child. I was like writing, making up dance routines for me and my sister at the age of like 4. Like, I was always a performer and a player. And it was really interesting for me to realize, actually only in the last 12 months, that none of that really works as quality play for me anymore. It just doesn't, because there's always a part of my mind that's like, oh, could this turn into something? Because my whole career is based around like producing creative works in whatever form they are, whether that's a graphic or a website or whatever. All that creation, it's all part of the same thing. And I had to find new ways to play. And that is something like that's so important to realize. How you play will change over time. And it is very, very easy to accidentally tip something into progression. There was a while there where I was using like walks as my playtime. I'd like put on headphones and dance down the street, and my neighbors referred to me as crazy. It was all part of the fun. And that was great. And then a part of my brain like chimed up and was like, you know what? We should challenge ourselves to walk farther and like do more walks. And the second that happened, it no longer satisfied the play part, because there was now a progression in it.
A goal.
Yeah. And it's just so easy to sort of slip. And it's something I've got to put so much attention on, not trying to turn everything into productive time, because that's the pressure we get from society. Product. Like, you know, you may be in isolation, but so was Shakespeare when he wrote Hamlet. Like, please
Yeah.
take that pressure off me.
Yeah, that actually there's been a lot. I'm really, really glad you said that, because there's been a lot of messaging around use this time to create more, use this time to create the thing that you know, like do the thing that you've always wanted to do. But when most of society is in actual whether it's adrenal fatigue or overload from spending so much time producing, that the yang energy of doing is not in balance with the yin energy of being, right? Much more masculine energy than feminine energy. And I mean, in my life, it's a little bit the opposite. If I was to be out of balance, I'd be more likely to be more the feminine energy of being rather than doing at this stage. But out of balance is out of balance, right? And that's an important thing to recognize, is when we're out of balance, it's still not optimal for us. Yeah. And so what does healthy look like? I wonder. What is health? What is it like when we are in like true balance and honoring and really, really respecting both the adult and the child, and in asking that, I am reflecting on a conversation that I had with Deb once, where I was sharing somebody else's perspective about a particular person in a relationship, and her suggestion that, well, if you might not, wherever you go, you bring your inner child with you, right? This idea, some people think, I don't have an inner child. Well,
we all do.
We all have these different parts of ourselves, and it's how we choose to express them. And so her saying, well, is your child safe with this person? And she was suggesting there's some people that she just does not engage with because she doesn't want to take her wounded children to that space. And I remember Deb's comment around, like, well, we shouldn't be carting our wounded children around with us our whole lives. Like, we should, like, and I think the key word there was the wounded aspect, like carting our wounded children around with ourselves our whole lives. Yeah, like that I understand, this idea of like, I'll always have this wounded child inside. No, that wounded child is there for us as adults to heal. Is my belief, my opinion, my sense is like that wounding that might be there in that child, and is likely there is some in all of our children for, you know, needs that weren't met for us as kids. And how can we as adults fulfill them now? And parent, you know, reparent ourselves. I guess that's what this is really about, is how do we reparent ourselves in that way? Yeah, so that comes back to that healthy aspect. Healthy to honor the child and honor the adult. What does that look like for you?
I mean, for me, it's changing, and like, it's so different person to person, but for me, it's like anything. You don't balance it by like putting that there and that there and it magically balances and it stays balanced forever. It does not work that way. I wish it did. It would be so much easier. I need to negotiate with my inner child. I think that's actually one of the first sessions you and I had, was like pretty much an hour of me crying as my inner child, being like, why didn't everyone think I was adorable and lovable? I am so cute. I don't know if you remember that. I do, because I remember like it was like one of my weirder breakdowns, because it was one of those things, I wasn't connected to my inner child at that time properly. And so I didn't realize it had been carrying all this hurt, like, oh my God, I'm adorable, love me. Which I still, like, everyone should love me, I am adorable. But that being said, what I had to give to that part of myself then was a lot of comfort and attention and cuddles with teddy bears and puppy dogs. And, you know, that sort of that permission to be adorable. And for me, adult Diana, to love how friggin' adorable I am. But after a while, that cup was kind of filled and the next cup arrived. And the next cup was, I want to play more and, you know, do more things that are fun and joyous. And like, it does change a lot. I don't know that I've ever had them like very well balanced for an extended period of time. There's always a lot of this, still a lot of this going on where it's like, oh, balance, oh, balance, oh, like, and it's just that little seesaw thing. But I know that I am as close to balanced as I can be. When there's physical health, and I'm not talking about like I am now a Fitspo model on Instagram or anything like that, when there is calmness in the mind, when the body feels relaxed, when there's no joint pain when I wake up, these are all signs to me that there is a balance happening. Specifically between the inner child and the adult, there is like when I find myself reprimanding myself or being petulant to those reprimands, that's when I know that specific relationship has gone out of balance. But balance in general comes down to like, there is wellness. There's no other way for me to put it. Like the body is good, the mind is good, the spirit's chilling, and things seem easy. That's got to be like the number one balancing. Like, oh, I cannot count how many people in the past month that are like, with all this ISO stuff going on, I don't have time for my personal work. And I'm like, dude, I feel you. But now is the time for your personal work, because when all that starts going on, all this starts getting harder, then all this gets louder, then all this gets harder. And until you go inside and deal with it, it just keeps growing. Whereas when you go inside and you clean this up, then all this becomes easy. And like, that's, yeah, I think I just had a little rant, sorry.
There was so much wisdom in what you shared. And it's the recognition that balance isn't this is like this and this is like this, and rather an ongoing mindful observing of what adjustments do we need to make, and paying attention to the cues. The idea of like, oh, starts speaking like this, then I know there's some things out of balance. And yeah, I particularly liked when you said, well, this cup was filled and then came this cup up. Where I'm up to, the cup that I'm filling at the moment is to prioritize myself, which is that cup of like the adult prioritizing that child, this child, you are the most important thing in the world.
Yes, you are.
That is really important. And how do I know that that's the cup that needs to be filled, and how do I know that that's what is important, is the sense of well, the cue is what we feel like we're wanting from the external world. You know, if what I'm feeling like I'm wanting is to feel desired or significant or like I matter, then that's that little girl feeling nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Not that important. Yeah, so.
Yeah. That is a really good indicator. I'm just thinking, I may have harassed someone recently with a lot of text messages in a row going, attention, please, attention. Look, I need your attention. I need you to like put your attention on me. And what I realized as soon as they responded was, yeah, no, that didn't work actually. Because it never does. You can't get it out there. You can only get it in here. And when I listened to what I was telling the world and went, oh, I'm so sorry, you need attention, I'm the only one that can give anything to myself. So I gave myself a pedicure, which,
Nice.
you know, hardly, like, didn't paint my nails or anything, just, you know, buffed and shaped and whatever, always moisturized my feet, and was like, okay, how is that? And it was like, yeah, that's right, that's good, but more. You took a while to respond, so now I need a bit more than that. I'm like, cool. So like on the next on the list is I'm going to take like an hour-long soak in the tub and just listen to music, like whatever it is, just attention on self.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, got the message. Take a while to fill up that cup, and when that cup's full, the next one will come.
Yeah. Mine at the moment is the little girl's like, I want you to listen to me and my feelings. So what's been working really effectively for me is, whether it's art therapy, just drawing out feelings, or journaling, that experience of, you have my full attention, the adults being fully present with the child, and giving the fullness of attention to that, that process, you know, that emotional reality. And that's what I've been attending to recently. I've been focused on that. So yeah, well, that seems like a good place to wrap up, I suppose. Anything else you want to share before we close? Anything regarding well-being, the well-being that comes from when we were in balance? Our children, our adults, all of our parts.
Yin, yang, yeah.
Stages and phases and all of that, when we're allowing all of it, accepting all of it, honoring all of it.
Yeah, I think the only thing that keeps pushing itself into my mind, so it must be important, is it's a negotiation, and it happens constantly. You don't negotiate with that one part or plant, like there's a different energy going on around you as well as within you, and that all needs to balance out. So the skill is not in going, okay, well, I'm going to play more because that's what my inner child wants. It's learning how to open those dialogues with the parts of yourself, and to create a trusting relationship with those parts where they can ask for something and know they'll get it. And that learning that negotiation, getting trust from all the parts, and putting your trust in all the parts, that if they agree, okay, 20 minutes of us coloring on the floor and then we're back to work, they'll be on board if you're on board and actually give them that time. Yeah, that's the thing that keeps pushing itself to the forefront of my mind. It is a permanent state of negotiation. And it's actually a lot of fun when you get good at it, or not even when you get good at it, because there is no good or bad at it, but it's actually a lot of fun to do, to sort of be able to go, oh, there's an icky feeling, I'm going to have a chat to it. Okay, I'm going to go do this thing, and then I'm coming back to center. That's really fun.
Yeah. I think I know what you mean when you say, when you get good at it, the more masterful we become, the more skillful in practice we become at really, really honoring all that's there. That's, you know, okay, here's coloring time now. And then this part also wants to make this contribution in the world. So you know, that purposefulness can happen, and that negotiation that's there between the parties, that where everyone can kind of get their needs met. Yeah, very, very important. I'm so glad you showed that. Awesome. Well, we'll be back tomorrow with another episode, and see what arises then. Leave us comments, let us know what you might what this stirred for you. If there's anything in particular you want us to address, we will. I'm enjoying these new YouTube live streams, so keep doing them. And either Diana will be with me tomorrow, or Deb will be with me tomorrow, or some combination. We'll see what arises. So have a brilliant rest of your day, and bye for now.
Much love.